Andrew Holness says he's ready to combine Jamaica's payroll taxes into one deduction. Could this be the start of something good, or is it just another way to tighten the government's grip on your paycheck? Let's break it down, add some context, and figure out what this really means for Jamaica. Oh, and if you're new here, this channel is all about bringing you content on Jamaica, breaking down politics and revealing hidden meanings. We also like to explore the greatness within Jamaica, whether it be music, culture, or people. If you like that sort of thing, hit the like button and subscribe. We've got a lot of new content coming.
We intend to move forward with the consolidation of Jamaica's various payroll taxes into a single payroll tax deduction.
All right, so here's what he means. Payroll taxes in Jamaica are things like NHT, NIS, and education tax. Basically deductions taken straight from your paycheck. What Holness is saying is, instead of taking these separately, they'd combine them into one single tax. It's like bundling your internet, phone, and streaming services into one payment. But what are payroll taxes in Jamaica? Right now, employers have to calculate and pay multiple taxes, including NHT, NIS, and education tax. This can get complicated, especially for smaller businesses. But have you ever wondered why our tax system is so complicated to begin with? Let's break it down. To understand where we are now, we have to look at the history of payroll taxes in Jamaica. These taxes weren't always this overwhelming. They were introduced to solve specific problems over time. For example, the National Insurance Scheme, or NIS, was introduced back in 1966 to provide pensions and benefits for workers. Then, in the 1970s, Michael Manley's government created the National Housing Trust to help Jamaicans afford homes. Over the years, other taxes were added, like the education tax, to fund our public schools. Each tax had a purpose, and at the time, it made sense. But as new challenges came up, instead of merging these taxes, successive governments simply added more to the list. What we're left with today is a complex and outdated system that's frustrating for workers and businesses alike. So why the push for consolidation now? Well, for one, simplifying the system could make life easier for businesses, especially small ones that struggle to keep track of multiple deductions. Instead of pulling from your paycheck 3 or 4 times, the government would take just one chunk and divide it up behind the scenes. Sounds good in theory, but what does this mean for you and Jamaica as a whole? On the positive side, consolidation could mean fewer errors, faster payroll processing, and possibly lower administrative costs for the government. But here's where it gets tricky. Will the government use this new system to ensure fairness and efficiency, or will they use it to squeeze even more out of our paychecks? And what happens to funds like the NHT or NIS? Will they still get the same attention they used to? And here's something to think about. Could this reform lead to Jamaicans being grouped and taxed by income brackets? Imagine being taxed based on how much you earn. Lower income, middle income, and high income categories. That could sound fair in theory, but it opens a whole new can of worms. A single tax might simplify things, but it's important that we understand how it will work. Let's look at some examples. Countries like New Zealand and the UK have consolidated tax systems. They've seen benefits, like less bureaucracy and easier compliance for businesses. But they've also had to work hard to ensure that tax rates are fair and don't put extra strain on workers or employers. This is the tricky part. A streamlined system could mean fewer errors and more money for public projects, schools, hospitals, you name it. But if it's not balanced properly, it could feel like just another way to take more of your money without you noticing.
Again, talked about, and I have now tasked Minister Payroll Williams, get it done.
So he's basically saying this idea has been floating around for a while, but now they're serious about pushing it forward. Minister Payroll Williams now has the responsibility to get this done. The big question is, how quickly can they do it, and will it actually work? If it works, this could make payroll taxes simpler and more efficient for businesses. It might even reduce confusion and errors, which is a win for both employers and employees. But on the flip side, if the total tax rate is too high, this could hurt workers. Plus, any delays or poor planning could create chaos for businesses trying to adapt to the change. This is where we as citizens need to pay attention. Ask questions like, will this tax consolidation actually reduce our financial burden? Or is it just about making the government's job easier? So is this a good move? It depends. If done fairly, this could modernize how we pay taxes and improve government efficiency. But there's a fine line between making things simpler and making them harder for everyday Jamaicans. There has been complaints of the government misusing our tax money, so I highly doubt things will be different with this tax reform. How can you prepare for this? First, stay informed. Keep up with government announcements so you understand how this will impact your pay. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, tax reform or tax trap. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more videos where we break down Jamaica's biggest issues one step at a time.